There are places that need to remain unspoiled. And this is one of them.
This is a vast, intact ecosystem of a coastal rainforest that is found nowhere else on Earth.
It's a remarkable thing to witness. It's nature on its own terms. When do we humans actually really ever in modern culture now get to see that?
Oh, I see a bear. I got a bear. So having oil tankers come through the area, you're going to have a recipe for disaster. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Wow, it runs all the way up the coast now.
The idea of putting a pipeline through into this area is disgusting. Really, it's disgusting. If the contents of a ship leak out into the environment, it would devastate this ecosystem.
Can't we find a way to build an economy that's based on preserving these places and have a lighter footprint on the world? Because I think that we can do it better.
Many times this is far more real than the world that we all inhabit on a day-to-day basis. People need to understand their connection with nature and how they relate to nature and the value of wilderness. That wilderness has this incredible value.
Lots of people come and they enjoy themselves, but I think the people that came on this trip were looking for a deeper and longer commitment. This is a group of people who are looking for ways to contribute. So it was lovely to travel on this trip with Carol Newell, who was one of the people who made a very large financial contribution to this area and was really instrumental in a lot of this area being protected.
I had millions and millions and millions of dollars that I knew needed to be out there working in the world and didn't make any sense for me to just hang on to. I had more than enough. So I decided that I wanted to work to preserve the wilderness that I love. And all of that was slated to be logged. It was a vast cut block. So I worked with wonderful partners, and that's what my money helped keep in its natural state. It's been an amazing trip. I've actually had an opportunity 15 years later to witness what might be at stake if the oil tankers come through.
The Great Bear Rainforest, it's a place that somehow makes emotional connections that I think people don't find in other places of the world.
It's a powerful experience. This trip, while drifting down a river, we encountered a mother grizzly out on a log and her 3 cubs. Seeing how those little cubs interact with one another, how they interact with their mom, how the mom has to take a risk to leave them to get food for them. And we had an interaction with that group of people and those animals that I think they will remember for the rest of their lives. I will remember it for the rest of my life.
The land is its own being. We can't comprehend the biodiversity there. It has its own presence. It has its own culture.
So we're going to the furthest one up. Okay.
I think the tourism potential in this part of the world is amazing. And I think that's been a real boon to the small communities that live there as well. They've gotten into the tourism industry and they are taking people out to see their territory.
One of the things we want to be able to do is to continue to thrive in our own territory, be sustainable, and to make a living off of our territory without taking anything.
It makes a different kind of economic sense in terms of the natural economy and how it develops its own resources.
We call this area now the Great Bear Rainforest, but I think really we could probably call it the Great Salmon Rainforest, because salmon are really the backbone of everything.
And the migration of Pacific salmon is one of the largest movements of biomass on the planet. It's comparable to the historic bison migrations, elk migrations, big schools of them. How many other animals are being sustained through their populations?
And one of the factors that's not ever calculated into the economic argument is the concept of ecosystem services. What is this ecosystem providing for us? It's filtering water, it's creating oxygen. All of those things are not given an economic value.
Our economic viewpoint has become so narrow. How can we even think about tending to our national security if we're willing to destroy areas that keep the salmon healthy, that keep us with fresh, clean water?
There's no way that oil tankers are going to go through our territory. And the more information we get from Enbridge, it's actually worse. And it's not true.
All of the Enbridge data that they were using for the weather in this area, they were using a lot of averages. They weren't looking at the extremes, and the extremes were way bigger than any of the data that Enbridge reported.
It can get so nasty that it honestly made these tankers look like little toy boats, just thrashing around in the waters. It's insane.
Running oil-carrying ships through here seems outrageous, especially in light of everyone's admission that one day there will be a catastrophe here. They call it a spill. Spill sounds like you spilled some coffee or some milk. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a huge ship spilling all of its contents, or a big portion of its contents, into this environment and into this landscape. And that would destroy this landscape. It would destroy it in our terms forever.
Whales can be a symbol of the ocean health, but I think what more people realize is that there are other sentient beings other than ourselves.
They're living in the oceans. That's their home. How could we possibly take it upon ourselves to think that our home is more important? I don't understand that.
Taoiseach Lab is one of my favorite places to visit.
Oh my gosh!
They've been doing a lot of non-invasive study of whales. They do a lot of observation.
It's incredible how high they can go too.
They also have a network of hydrophones set up, and so they can hear the whales.
So this area is becoming more and more important all the time. We believe that the reason the numbers are increasing in this specific area is because there's so much food and because it's so quiet under the water. There's no boats around here. They've probably either coming here because they think they're safe. If these tankers go through, they will strike whales. Whales will be killed. There's no way that whales will survive that. Yeah.
Even without a spill.
Even without a spill. Oh no, it's not. I mean, I'm not even talking about a spill.
This place needs a voice. Wilderness needs a voice. Nature needs a voice. Putting a pipeline into here, turning this into an industrial center, it's just abhorrent. I can't imagine somebody who has been here and knows about this place wanting to do that.
And just like whales deserve to have their life, of course the human beings deserve to have their lives too. But our job is to steward. So I chose to look for the long term and leveraged my wealth in a very different way. So we can be part of the regenerative economy that takes into account this incredible mystery of nature in balance with itself.
So the question is asked of a lot of people, what will you do if ultimately they build a pipeline? It's a really tricky question. I think I'm a bit like the mom with the 3 cubs. I'd probably do anything to protect the place.